Posture 101. This is normal posture. By divine design, the body was meant to look like this, or close to it. I've told you many times, you just need to get a gauge. Most people are very close to looking like this by design. The DNA inside of them strives to look and be normal. Faulty posture contributes to chronic misalignment. Chronic misalignment always subtracts from the quality of function. It may not cause pain, but it decreases potential in your function. We're going to start at the top and go all the way down to the bottom. Now, before we do, I want to mention this. This is my rendition. If you like a copy of this, you can take a picture of it and I'll sign it for you.
That looks like a Picasso.
We're going to talk about the angles today. The top vertebra in the thoracic spine, which has ribs attached, should be at 25 degrees. T12, the bottom, should be 25 degrees. Sacral angle at the bottom should be about 50 degrees. Now, why do I tell you this? I tell you this because when those angles become greater or lesser and the spinal curve changes, it affects your personality. And the last part of our class today, we're going to talk about what's called Dowager's Hump. I'm going to give you the tools to help correct that problem. I'll tell you right now so you get a head start. Dowager's Hump occurs when this T1 becomes more steep. So what happens visually is the head goes forward and you become shorter. Sometimes it's bad enough you could put a glass of water on that top of the thoracic spine because it's too steep. Women have them more than men, and again, it has to do with your assessment of yourself mentally. It's what you think. If it goes too low, it also has an effect on your personality. If that angle becomes flat, the flatter it is, the more likely you are to not do things that you know you need to do. Again, I'm going to show you how to correct that at the end of the class today. So, normal, neutral, or ideal posture, starting at the head. Your eyes and your ears are both there. One of the things that they try to do always is to keep you level-headed. So your eyes are horizontal, and so your head is not tilted to the side or forward. So a three-dimensional gyroscope that kind of works together to keep your head level. The body will strive the best they can to maintain the center of the head directly over the center of the low neck, the low back, and the sacrum. dots here. We draw a straight line down, that line would be vertical if you're at optimal health. That's what happens when you're on the T-zone. Your body tries to get you there and retrain the nerves. It's not a matter of muscle strength, it's a matter of neurological patterning. That's number one. The hard palate should be horizontal with the earth. In my office, I have a little Yoda with a spoon in his mouth. That's there for a purpose. If you want to test yourself, put a spoon in your mouth, put a raw egg in the spoon, and walk around with your head level. Now that's, if you know what usually happens is, people spend a lot of time doing what? Looking down. And that creates stretch and pinch and pressure on the spinal cord, tightens the covering of the brain within the meninges, and lowers body function. You should avoid, when possible, tipping your head to the side. One of the most common problems that people get into is they lay sideways on the couch and watch TV. So their head's cockeyed. Sometimes they have pillows that are too low or too high, so they lay on the side, and when they have pillows that's too low, the head goes down, pinches off the nerves on the bottom, stretches the ones on the top, or if the pillow is too high, we'll do the opposite. It's important to keep the body in a straight line. Now, you may say, well, I don't do that. My pillow's a little bit lower. I like my pillow a little bit high. Here's the deal. We talk often about the body being like a bucket, and the bucket can have holes in it. Sometimes the holes are teeny, but if it were a balloon, a teeny hole would make it, ruin it. In a bucket, it may just lower the level a teeny bit. And you may not notice it, but everything we're talking about today, each of these areas has a negative effect if you're not ideal. An ideal means a B or better. Now the neck curve. The neck curve is designed to arch forward, have a nice little arc to provide a cushion for the brain, so it goes like a shock absorber. Now I'm going to pass this around because I want you to understand what happens when the neck is not neutral. Neutral means normal curve. I have two of them. Here's what I would like you to look at closely. When you look to the side, we have the discs on the front. The discs are designed primarily to hold the weight of the head. And your head's weigh anywhere from 10 to 13 pounds. There's a lot of weight on a small disc. The back part of the spine, the back part of the neck are joints. If you look at those joints closely, they're designed to slide and glide in a flexion and extension motion. That's what they do. When you turn your head, most of the turning occurs above C3. You have a pin, it's called axis, in the second vertebra, and C1, the atlas, holds the head and it pivots around. So when you're on the T-zone, when you're doing therapy, you turn your head, know that most of the motion occurs in the upper neck. If you want to do therapy on the lower neck to help the discs and to help the joints, here's what you do. You tip your head, you'll tuck your chin. Two separate motions. If you tip your head, tip your neck, tuck your chin, you slid those segments forward, you put more pressure on the disc momentarily. Then when you go back, you tip your head back and raise the chin. Now those segments slide down and you take the pressure off the discs. Now, if you do that routinely, you can dissolve spurs on the neck.
Will you demonstrate?
So I'm going to turn sideways so you can see. If I lean forward, tuck the chin, I'm on the T-zone, just moving. 15 seconds, I come up, go back to neutral, hard palate level. I'm not looking up, hard palate's level. Now I'm going to lean back. Pivot the head. Let it work. Now, if you happen to have a job or you're doing something, you've been leaning to the side, like I do when I work on people. I lean forward left. I counter stress. So when I lean back and slightly to the right and raise up. Okay?
So you bow your head, tuck your chin on the lean forward, but when you're leaning back, you only tilt your head. You don't do a chin tuck.
You don't tuck, you tilt, you pivot your head up. So I lean back and pivot the head, pivot the head. Now imagine a ride going through the ears, pivot the head. Pivot the head. Two motions, neck, head, neck, head. With repetitive microtherapy, you can rebuild the joints and the disc both. You can dissolve spurs. Spurs are a big deal. We see them a lot in the neck from both neck injuries and faulty posture, faulty pillows, faulty driving the car. A lot of things that mess up the neck curve. Now, just so you know, the diameter of the hole that the spinal cord goes through, all the way from the head down to the lumbar, is smallest in diameter in the neck. So the neck is more sensitive to neurological irritation. Now the good news, by divine design, God put the meningeal covering around the cord, that's the 2 layers of fluid, and fatty tissue. So if we slice your head off and looked at the neck, the cord only takes up about 2/3 of the whole. There's a lot of leeway in there. So it doesn't have to be perfect. But if you have a habit of sleeping on the wrong pillow, or like yesterday I saw a fellow who likes to read, and a lot. He's 88. He sits in the chair and he reads. When he gets tired, he goes down. His wife catches him down like this, reading. So guess what? All of the back of his neck, his head, his low back, everything is in trouble. And the only way to fix that is change the posture, to get the head up here. Ideal reading distance is about 12 to 15 inches with the head horizontal, looking straight ahead. Okay? Or the eyes can go down, but don't tip the head down. Any questions? Okay, the shoulders, the scapula. I saw a lady this morning. She's having chronic shoulder problem. I took a picture of her, had her walk. Her right shoulder is forward. This whole scapula the whole scapula. It slid around the rib cage. It should sit on the edge of the top of the rib cage and slide around and back. Hers is too far forward, which is very, very common. When the scapula slides forward and the arm goes forward, guess what happens down at the hands? Instead of having thumbs forward, you have knuckles forward. Whenever you see people with the knuckles forward, they have a shoulder problem. They may have also carpal tunnel. They may have tennis elbow. They may have a number of problems with the shoulder, but the shoulders need to be back. So what do? You practice. You practice, 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 getting the shoulders back. Welcome. So you lay on your back when you do the sacral slide, and you scoot your scapula together. So scoot them together, then do the sacral slide. If you're on the T-zone, do the Y with your arms back, the W, arms back, to keep the scapula together. To open up the front. Now, if you do this faithfully and keep the thumbs forward and the scapula and the shoulder girdle mobile, you have eliminated the probability if you develop in shoulder problems, elbow problems, carpal tunnel, numbness, trigger finger, a lot of that kind of problems you can prevent, and if you have it, you can start to eliminate it by correcting. Now the arms, again, I recommend as an active self-care therapy, you get in the habit of walking with the thumbs forward. Sorry. Thumbs forward. And if you think about arm swing, think about the elbows. When you watch people walk, watch what they do with their arms. A normal posture would be thumbs forward, they swing the arms forward and back. You will notice, however, that because people are leaning one way and they have a shoulder problem or a hip problem, they will swing one arm in front of them when they're walking. Mm. You'll also notice that because they are forward, they swing the arms more forward. I recommend to you that you, for therapy, you practice swinging the elbows back. So the focus mentally would be thumbs forward, elbows back. And when you go grocery shopping, don't hold onto the cart like this and lean forward. Hold onto the cart like this, get up close, put the scapula back, thumbs up, fingernails up, and walk like that. That is active self-therapy to maintain neutral posture. Now, if you do most of these things, you have increased longevity. You have increased the possibility of normal function into the later years. I mentioned my grandmother Cooper. At 92, I took her x-ray. She was right in the middle. Her head was within 1 inch of being centered. Right, left, forward and back. She was right there. She had one complaint in her life. It was about God. Fred, my Grandpa Cooper, had been gone 15 years. And she said, I don't know why God doesn't let me die. Well, that was her only complaint. She was healthy right up into the end, and then it took her a very short time, and she checked out. And a lot of it was due to her posture. She was very conscious about having neutral posture. Now let's go to the mid-back. The mid-back involves, again, the rib cage, the thoracic spine. You have 12 ribs. The top vertebra should be 25 degrees. Nice smooth arc. 25 degrees at the bottom. Should not be slumped. If you slump forward, you compress organs. You compress stomach, you compress lungs, you compress liver, kidneys, small, large intestine, pancreas. You crowd them. When they're crowded chronically, they function at a lower level. Now, the good news and bad news, God made it so that we can have malfunction and no symptoms. We can have malfunction up to 50% and survive. We have a lot of leeway. To be healthy though, you need to be a B. If you get a B, see, when I designed this form, I had planned on putting a little line on the side so you could go down and give yourself a grade, a score. You know, this is 70, this is 60, this one, 80. That would be a good thing for you to do. You want to keep the thoracic spine rounded, smooth. Low back. The low back, the lumbar should have a nice smooth curve like the neck. Again, part of the reason is to provide a cushion for you when you move around like this. It's a shock absorber. By divine design, the human body is an architectural, biomechanical wonder. If we were in a group of scientists and we all had mechanical engineering degrees, and we drew lines like I did on the body and said, okay, what could we do to make the body better? Could we change any of the angles, any of these angles, and make the body more stable without giving up flexibility? The answer would be no. We can make it more stable, but if we make it more stable, give up flexibility. Well, then how about let's change a few angles and make the body more flexible? Yeah, we can make bigger curves and have more flexibility. But if we did that, we would subtract from stability. So I'd like you to write those two words down. Stability and flexibility, and know that by divine design, you're created to have the best of both, as long as you maintain normal alignment. If you change normal alignment, then you lose one or the other. Okay? And if you lose either one of them, you then modify nerve function. If you modify nerve function, you modify organ function because of the pressure on the nerves. Let's go on down. Pelvis. We want the pubis down. This morning, the lady told you I checked with the shoulder problem. She said I have a lot of pain between my shoulders and the right shoulder. And I'm always trying to keep my shoulders back and my head up. I took a picture of her and said, okay, now tip the pubis down and raise the rear end up. I took another picture of her. She said within less than 1 minute, the pain between her shoulders went away. Now I'm telling you that because many times chronic weaknesses, chronic problems between the shoulders, upper back, neck and head are caused from pelvis being tipped back. Pelvis up, rump down. We need to do the opposite. Pelvis down, rump up. Now some of you go to church and you have songbooks at church. The reason, but you all know the songs. So the reason the books are there is to put them under the back half of your butt to tip your pelvis down, or put it behind you to maintain the curve. Now you know why you have books at church.
Every Sunday, yeah, every Sunday.
You wouldn't want to do that. So again, when you change the low back curve towards normal, the curve in the neck becomes more relaxed and more normal.
Now, if you're a little lopsided, like I know it's not you going back to the shoulders, but if I was looking at you and let's say, you know, one of your shoulders was higher than the other.
Yeah.
Do we need to come see the chiropractor, or the sacral slide will, over time, drop the shoulder? Is it like, I mean, like you had said with her on her shoulders, just adjusting the pelvis made a difference? Are some of these things going to affect if we're lopsided this way and not necessarily the curvature of your spine, but the tilt of...
That's a good question. Let me answer by telling you a brief true story that happened to me last Saturday. We had a problem with our fridge. I got a repair guy to come and check the compressor on the fridge. I was visiting with him on the way out, and he said it was obvious that he had a problem. And I said, you have a back problem and a leg problem? And he stopped and said, yeah, I have bone on bone, both knees, both hips, have a bad spine, I need 5 or 6 surgeries. I said, what have you done about it? Well, I went to a chiropractor in Rexburg 3 or 4 times a week for a long, long time. I said, you wasted a lot of money. I believe in chiropractic, but he wasted a lot of money because it did not get a correction. Why? Because he didn't make any changes at home. Now, I watched him walk. I know he doesn't need surgery. If he does sacral slide, does repetitive microtherapy to enhance correct motion, his body will automatically recover. That can't be fixed with a pill. It will not be fixed with going to PT or chiropractic or massage, whatever. Occasionally, he has to do repetitive daily therapy at the level of B, and his body will recover. So and even shoulders, that I told you about with the lady this morning, her shoulders went back, her thumbs are forward, one more worse than the other. When she tipped the pelvis, her hands changed, her shoulder changed, and they were uneven. One side was low. When she walked the hall, one shoulder was low. The foot flared out. They become more even, just doing that one thing. Why? Because the pelvis is the foundation. If you're going to build a house, you better be level to start with. Same with the spine. And level means horizontal, this way, on the side view, 50 degrees. Okay?
Okay. So, people like me, like a jump start. So we all like immediate gratification to get our things fixed. So let's say I have this off shoulder and I start doing the sacral slide. If I come to you or see a chiropractor, would that give me a jump start? So then when I do my own exercises and do my thing, does it put me ahead of the game? Or let's say I want to wait and I want to just do it on my own. Is it going to be a slower process if I just do the sacral slide on the own and I might need assistance? Because sometimes I'm both ways. Sometimes I want to fix it on my own. I don't want to have the extra help. But sometimes I'm gone too far, maybe in too much pain that I need assistance for.
I totally understand and agree. The girl that came to see me this morning, I've been seeing her for 2 months. I did an assessment, told her what she needed to do. She's like you, she's smart enough and has enough experience and has enough knowledge from being in class. She can go and do it. I couldn't give her a jump start other than identify the problem and talk about what needs to be done to fix it. Now, if you have something that's frozen, like the whole thing is stuck, that's not usual for somebody like you. I think you could do, well, next week the class is on active self-care. So we're going to review. One of these lovely ladies is going to be a model. I was going to say guinea pig, but
Yeah, I thought that was coming up next.
and we're going to review things that you can do at home to correct the problems yourself. Now, I will say, I saw a lady this week who she had a hip dysplasia at birth. At age 50, she had a replacement in the hip. They didn't do anything about her spine. When I checked her, she had a significant curvature. I sent her to get x-rays because I know with x-rays, I can teach her more than just looking at her and feeling. Okay? So we get the jump start from having more knowledge of what is. Femur head. The femur head should move independent of the ilium. A lot of people, as they get older, they have less and less motion in the femur head. So when they walk like this. They got too much motion here. They also lose motion in the sacroiliac joints because I don't do the sacral slide. They get tight here, so when they walk like a penguin. First the sacrum may move. The sacrum gets stuck, so they walk like this. And when the hips get stuck, they walk like this. So what do? You practice, maintaining femur head motion. If you have a T-zone, you can stand on it with sideways with 1 foot off and swing the leg straight forward and back. The femur, move the femur. You go across, you go out, you turn on the other one, turn on the other one, and turn around and trade. You maintain mobility, keeping in mind that the thing that's holding the thing that's most important that holds the joints together are ligaments, not muscles. Muscles move. If we had a skeleton with all totally taken apart, we have them laying out on a big table. We have about 206 bones. Each bone, by design, is made so that it fits right in on another bone. Like in the foot, and the foot is fantastic. You have 27 bones down there, and they're all designed to fit with the ones that they touch, but they're held together by a ligament. So when we're talking about making these changes, we're not talking about muscles. We're talking about ligaments and nerves. Ligaments hold them, nerves tell the muscles what to do.
Did you talk about sacral motion? You might have skipped.
I did not talk about sacral motion, I missed it. Let's go back up one, sacral motion. The most valuable things you can do is maintain the mobility and the sacroiliac joint. The best exercise is a sacral slide with the feet up, out, and in. Sliding slow, easy. Now, when you were young, I'm talking to a man, when you were young at high school, and you watched a girl walk down the hall, you probably didn't look at her hair, you probably didn't look at her shoulders, you were looking a little bit lower. And when they're young and healthy, the lower part moves like a pendulum. As they get older, the pendulum stops swinging, sacrum gets tight, the femur head gets tight. Now the swing is up here like a penguin. So those of you who are walking like a penguin, act as if you're 25, take small steps, and put the hips back into action. When you're on the T-zone, go on one foot, go on the other foot, back and forth, turn a little bit, turn, get the motion back down here between the sacrum and the hip. We want the sacrum to move when you walk. So we're talking about moving side to side. We're talking about tipping it forward and back. We want the top of the sacrum down in the front, with the pubis down, the rump up. If you watch many athletes, those that run the fastest and jump the highest have pubis down, rump up. They have strong low back. They run faster and jump higher.
I think we did an exercise, I don't know if you called it this or Dave called it this, about like the fruit salad on the T-zone. Like you try to move your hips in one direction and then around the other, right? No?
Well, I was thinking, Dave was thinking of food, right?
Probably. She is Hawaiian, or half.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I didn't know, is that one of the exercises that you can do on the T-zone that helps to loosen up the tightness?
The answer is yes. I taught Dave Land how to do a slow hula hoop motion. Hula, both ways. Slow, both ways. Get that motion. Thank you. Knees. We don't want to cross the knees. Mm-hmm. And if you do exercises for the knees, always keep the feet parallel with the knees. I've seen many people prevent knee surgery that have been told they needed knee surgery by doing repetitive microtherapy. So they line up the foot, the knee, and they go out. They turn in, they go in. They bend the knee slightly, do small circles. All tissue is always replacing itself with newer tissue. And if you gently stretch the area, the new tissue will grow in more healthy, more elastic.
How long does it take tissues to come back to knees?
If you're 16, probably within a year.
I'm not.
If you're...
I'm glad you told us.
You're so rude. That's right.
Everything slows down as you get older, but it doesn't stop until you die. And the big problem is crossing the midline. From 45 to 55, it takes about 10 years to wake up and think, oh, yeah, I can't do it quite like I used to, unless you try to not let that happen. If you try not to let that to happen, you're asking for trouble. Okay, the feet, very quickly. Many people's major health problems start with how they treat the foot. By divine design, God made the body with a back foot and a front foot in one unit. The back foot is designed to hit with the heel, to roll nice and smooth, and to land on the outer two toes. That's the back foot. When the tibia crosses midline, the body now is going forward. The weight shifts from the back foot to the front foot and you push off. The ankle should be horizontal. That's this bone. So the tibia goes like this on the ankle. If you spend too much time on the front foot, these poor little muscles get tired and they go down like that. When they go down like that, that changes the angle in the ankle, changes the ankle in the knee. I saw a lady yesterday from Brazil. Her knees were bent a lot because of what he just said. Now it will take her 2 years to fix the knee, to get it back up, by focusing on putting the weight on the heel, not the front foot. I'll pass it around if you'd like to look at that closely. Now, sleep posture. Oh, weight fairly even. If you have to stand for a long time, a lot of folks get in the habit of standing on one leg, then go to the other leg, and they go back and forth. My recommendation is don't do that. If you have to stand for a long time, rotate the pubis side to side. Just change this. Here, here, not here, here, here. Okay? Now, by sleep posture, I would like to have it right by those words, sleep posture, the fraction 1/3. 1/3 by sleep posture. Why? Because you spend, if you're smart, 1/3 of your life in bed. That sounds like a lot. But bedtime is when you heal more than any other time. It's important that when you heal and when you sleep, you be neutral. And neutral means if you're on your side, head should be supported. If you're on the back, the neck should be supported, not the head. Put the small, soft pillow under your neck to lift the neck and maintain the curve. Do not sleep with two pillows with the head forward. If you do, you create head forward posture. If you create head forward posture, you hurt the low back. You can damage your low back by sleeping on your back with too high a pillow. Why? Because the spinal cord hooks on in the pelvis. And if you have two pillows, you're pulling on the spinal cord all the way down to the pelvis. Never sleep on the stomach, and the fetal position means head down, knees up. That's very common for people, especially if they have emotional stress. They go back into a fetal posture. I recommend you not do that. If you find yourself doing that, here's how you stop. When you go to bed, you lay on your belly, put both hands under your forehead, bring both feet up and walk your feet, like I have you do sometimes when I check you. Do that, turn the head, spend about 2 minutes, then turn to your side. That will help you not sleep on your stomach. You'll never be healthy if you sleep on your stomach.
I sometimes wake up on my stomach.
Okay, if you wake up on your stomach, do exactly what I just said. If you wake up on your stomach, then turn to your side, Then raise your feet up and do the walking. Then turn to the side.
Why does that help you to not sleep on your stomach?
It helps free up the meningeal adhesions, the meningeal restrictions. When you get rotated, the meninges kind of stick together and don't slide like they should. And that when you do that motion, you get them moving again. Okay. Any questions before we go to the next topic? Next topic. Dowager's Hump. Now, Dowager's Hump is when the T1 angle goes higher than 25. And the head goes forward. The more forward it is, the more serious the problem is. It has both a physical and a mental component. Some people develop the Dowager's Hump because of being self-critical to the extreme. I know the good book says on Sunday when we take the sacrament to examine yourself. And we should do that, and we should repent. But when we pick on ourselves over and over for the same thing, we create breakdowns. So this handout is a worksheet for you to help yourself correct that problem. If you correct that problem, your health will improve in many ways. Now, before we start, that T1 angle should be 25. If it's high, you have things you don't like about yourself, we're going to talk about them. If it goes low, you could make another list of things that you're suppressing, things that you want to do, you know you should do, and you haven't done them yet. You can use the same form with that in mind. So look at list A. To make list A, you follow step number 3. You use the sentence, I am unhappy with me because, and you write something in there, whatever it is, on line 1, list A. Then you find another thing that you don't like about yourself. Now this could be serious things, or they could be simple things. One of mine used to be, and I was really good at it. It was a bad thing, but I was really good at it. When I talking to someone, I'm thinking about what I'm going to say, and many times wouldn't wait till I was done talking. So I'd interrupt them before they finished. Now to me that was a bad thing to do, but I did that a lot. I still sometimes have problems with it. Sometimes even with my wife. She'll start talking to me and so that was on my list. I don't like me when I interrupt someone who's talking to me. Another thing I had on my list was I was skinny when I was young. I had knobby knees. I didn't like my knees. So when I played basketball, I wore knee pads. Not to protect my knees, but to hide them. Now this sounds silly, but I was in my 30s when I did one of these lists. That was on my list. Okay? Now some people have very high T1 angles. maybe 45 degrees. A lot of, they've been sitting around in a wheelchair, they've been sitting around in a rocking chair, they haven't done much for a long time, and the longer they sit, the more things they don't like about themselves. I used to be able to do this, I used to be able to do this, I can't do it anymore, I'm no good, I'm not tough, I can't even drive, I can't cook, and they go steeper and steeper and steeper. So they have a big list. You may have only one or two things on your list. If you have one or two things, that's good. But my recommendation is you get them off. So I recommend that you do this worksheet, even if you don't have a Dowager's hump. I have a young lady who comes who has only 3 or 4 things. She worked hard to correct those 3 or 4 things. It made a huge difference in her whole life. She's a mom, she has kids, and a husband, and her whole life improved when she followed this worksheet. Now, after you get the list A, you then, by the way, you might take a few weeks to get it going. And when you get it going, you might then think of more things. It's a list that's alive. But then you start moving things from list A over to list B. And when you move them to list B, do it this way. Start with whatever is the easiest thing to fix in list A, but at the top on list B. Pick the hardest thing to do, wherever it is, the hardest thing to do, put it down to the bottom. So we always start easy to hard. And look at the list about every week or 2 or every month, whatever you want. But keep working on the list. New things will come, put them on there, make a copy. If you do this, it will help you maintain a better posture in the upper back. And that will change a lot of your behavior, a lot of the way you think, the way you talk, the way you act.
I want some help. Okay, I might need you to help direct my thoughts or something. So, what if I think I get overwhelmed easy? How would and I get frustrated at the overwhelm because of like things I need to get done or do, and then I feel like overwhelm makes me stuck, and I have this and this and this, and then I get frustrated with myself because my list keeps piling up, then I get overwhelmed and I won't accomplish anything. So how would overwhelm fit into this category, or does it?
It does, and that came up yesterday in our class. So what did we do? We put the words, I get frequently overwhelmed. That's one thing I don't like about me. Okay? Now, we move it to the other side. If it's hard to fix, it goes down the ways. If you think it's easy to fix, you go up. Here's how you fix that problem. It will work for all of you. You take another sheet of paper and you divide it into three categories. A, B, C. A is must do. B is would like to do, or maybe should do. It's not a must.
Essential, necessary, nice to do.
However you want to title it. Okay, 3 lists. You'll have a lot of things on the C list. How do you deal with that? Watch. It's my C list. Fixed. Gone.
That was lunch with my friends. Because it's nice to do, but probably not essential.
Sometimes it's essential. Calling.
Now, again, as you get older, you start to prioritize value and energy. Like I said to you today, we have a fellow here who's trying to build a new eye and a new shop. Both take energy. Real energy. He may finish the shop and have no energy left for his body to build a new eye. He may say, well, the shop, I'm going to spend 3 hours a day. I'm done. I'm going to go in, sit in the chair, get in the T-zone.
But the snow's gonna fly, and I gotta get it.
And when,
Yeah, I get it. I
when his
know.
wife says, what in the world are you doing? You say, proudly, I'm healing.
I wish I'd have known that years ago.
I'm spending my energy healing. Yes. If all of you would have learned that earlier, you would all be more healthy, but you learn it now. The question now is, are you gonna build sheds, go to lunch, or heal? You can't do it all. That's a good question. That's how you do it. Not how you then, it's on list B, and you fix it. You now have your priorities straight. I've used this phrase before. Don't drown the lifeguard. I was a lifeguard, you know. Me first. If you're dumb and you do something stupid or you get whatever, you get trapped, reach, row, throw, go. But I'm not gonna drown us both. People before projects. You probably heard that in a church council meeting. People before projects. People before activities. It goes for you, okay? You can't do it all. Don't even try. So the answer is no thank you. We have 1 minute left. Any questions or comments?
Anyone else?
Anyone?
Please.
Some week ago, I got a notice in my head that said, your assignment is to sleep. This is just as important as school. You need to do this. And I'm like,
Did you listen?
I listened, I'm still working on it.
Did you engage?
I know that it's important. It's on my list now.
It's at least made the list.
It made the list.
Where?
Pretty high.
Okay. Good, thank you. Okay. Thank you.
I want to just add one thing, because you were talking about spending energy healing.
Yes.
I know for me, and I assume for other people, one of the tendencies is to spend the energy healing, and then you feel so much better that you then
Start
go
big one.
spend it all,
Oh, do.
and then end up back where you started.
That's the teenage way. Earn $20 and go to the mall.
Spend it all.
Let's go spend it. As you get older, my wife calls it the stash. The stash away. Now this is a take-home assignment. If you will, please, I'm asking you to do me a favor and give some thought to things that maybe have benefited you from the class. When you come back next time, but bring it so that I can use it as a guide as we prepare future classes. We also have the schedule for next quarter. I'd like to have you take one for you and one for 2 of your sick friends. You probably have at least 2. Encourage them to come to class. If they want help, I would be happy to help them. Any final comment? Okay, thank you for coming.